You sat through years of math class. You learned to follow steps, you passed tests, or you didn't, but either way, you walked out of school without knowing what any of it actually was. Nobody told you what math is for, why each piece exists, or how it all connects. This video fixes that, not a lesson on one topic. The whole picture, in order in plain language. By the end, you will know what every branch of math actually does and why humans invented it. Let's start at the beginning. Math is a language. It is the language humans invented to describe quantity, structure, and change. Every part of math you ever encountered was invented to solve a specific problem that words alone could not solve. That is the key idea. Every piece of math was an answer to a real question. When you understand the question first, the math stops being random and starts making sense. The foundation of all math is numbers. A number is a symbol that represents a quantity. That's it. Humans needed to count things. Sheep, days, units of grain. So they invented symbols to represent amounts. The counting numbers 1, 2, 3, and so on came first, then came 0, which was actually a major invention. 0 means the absence of quantity, and without it, calculation and record keeping become far more complicated. Then negative numbers. If you earn $500 and owe $700, the result is negative $200. You are below 0. Negative numbers represent quantities on the other side of nothing. Fractions and decimals came next. Half a bag of concrete, 2.5 meters of pipe. These describe quantities that fall between whole numbers. The key point is that our entire number system is a toolkit built piece by piece to describe more precise real-world situations. Now here's what's actually happening when you do arithmetic. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division are the 4 basic operations. They are tools for combining and separating quantities. Multiplication is just fast addition. 6 times 4 means add 6 4 times. Division is just the reverse. Split 24 items into groups of 6. You get 4 groups. The order in which you do these operations matters, which is why rules like order of operations exist. If you calculate materials for a building project and apply the operations in the wrong sequence, your material estimate is wrong. The consequence is either waste or shortage on site. From arithmetic, we move to algebra. Algebra is arithmetic with unknowns. Instead of knowing every number in a calculation, you know some of them and you have to find the rest. We use letters, usually X or Y, to represent the unknown values. An equation says that 2 expressions are equal. Solving the equation means rearranging it to find what the unknown must be. If you know that materials cost $45 per unit and your total budget is $2,700, you write 45 times X equals 2,700 and solve for X. The answer is 60 units. Algebra lets you work backwards from a result to find an input. Every pricing model, every construction estimate, every financial projection you have ever encountered use this logic. The key point is that algebra turns word problems from real life into solvable equations. This is the important part. Algebra has different types of equations, and the type tells you what kind of relationship you're dealing with. A linear equation produces a straight line relationship. Double the input, double the output. 2 workers, twice the output. Simple. A quadratic equation has 1 variable raised to the power of 2, and it describes situations where the relationship curves. The path a thrown object follows, the way profit rises and then falls as prices go up. A polynomial equation can have the variable raised even higher and describes relationships with multiple turning points. An exponential equation has the variable in the exponent, and it describes growth or decline that accelerates over time. Money compounding in an investment account. A virus spreading through a population. The key point is that the shape of the equation tells you the shape of the real relationship you are modeling. Now here's why this matters to you. Every branch of math from this point on is built on top of what we just covered. They all use numbers, operations, and equations. What changes is what they're being applied to. Geometry is math applied to shape and space. Humans needed to measure land, build structures, and navigate. Geometry is what they developed to do it. Every shape has properties. A rectangle has a length and a width. Multiply them to get area, which tells you how much surface it covers. A room that is 4 meters by 5 meters has 20 square meters of floor. If you order flooring tiles without calculating area first, you either buy too little and stop the job midway, or you buy too much and waste money. Volume extends this idea into 3 dimensions: a box, a cylinder, a sphere. Volume tells you how much the shape can hold. A concrete column on a job site has a specific volume, and that volume tells you exactly how much concrete to order. Geometry also gives us angle relationships. A right angle is 90 degrees. 2 lines that meet at 90 degrees are perpendicular. These relationships matter in construction, engineering, and any situation where fit and alignment have to be precise. The key point is that geometry turns physical space into numbers you can calculate with. Connected to geometry is the Pythagorean theorem. In any right triangle, the square of the longest side equals the sum of the squares of the other 2 sides. This is written as a squared plus b squared equals e squared. If you need to know whether a corner of a building is truly square, you measure 3 units along one wall, 4 units along the other, and check that the diagonal is exactly 5 units. If it is not, the corner is not square, and everything built from it will be off. The key point is that one theorem lets you calculate the length of any side of a right triangle if you know the other 2. Trigonometry extends this into angles. It is the math of the relationship between a triangle's angles and its side lengths. 3 functions, sine, cosine, and tangent, describe these ratios. Sine is the ratio of the opposite side to the hypotenuse. Cosine is the ratio of the adjacent side to the hypotenuse. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. If you know an angle and one side length, you can calculate every other measurement in the triangle. Surveyors use this to measure distances that cannot be walked. Engineers use it to calculate forces on diagonal supports. GPS satellites use it to calculate your position on Earth. The key point is that trigonometry lets you extract unknown distances and angles from known ones using the properties of triangles. Let me show you exactly how this works. Like, say you are installing a ramp. You know the ramp is 6 meters long and must meet the ground at an 8-degree angle. You need to know how high the far end of the ramp rises. You use the sine function. Sine of 8 degrees multiplied by 6 gives you approximately 0.83 meters. That is the rise. If you skip this calculation and guess, you either build a ramp that is too steep for compliance or too shallow to reach the doorway. One formula using trigonometry gives you the exact answer before a single piece of material is cut. Now we move to statistics. Statistics is the math of data. When you have a large number of measurements or observations and you need to make sense of them, you use statistics. The mean is the average. Add all values, divide by the count. If a company tracks monthly sales over a year and wants a single number that represents typical performance, the mean gives it. The median is the middle value when all numbers are arranged in order. In real estate, median home prices are used instead of averages because one extremely expensive house can distort an average and make a neighborhood look more expensive than it is for most buyers. The standard deviation tells you how spread out the values are. A low standard deviation means values cluster tightly around the average. A high standard deviation means they are spread wide. If you run a production line and your measurements have a high standard deviation, your output is inconsistent, which signals a quality problem. The key point is that statistics converts raw data into reliable summaries that support decisions. Closely related is probability. Probability is the math of likelihood. Anytime the future is uncertain and you need to reason about outcomes, you use probability. The probability of any event is expressed as a number between 0 and 1. 0 means it cannot happen. 1 means it will definitely happen. 0.5 means it is equally likely to happen or not. Insurance companies calculate the probability of various claims and price their policies to remain profitable. A structural engineer calculates the probability that a bridge experiences a load beyond its design spec within its expected lifetime. If that probability is too high, the design must change. The key point is that probability gives uncertain future events a numerical value that can be reasoned about and planned around. Now, here's what's actually happening when you bring algebra and geometry together. Coordinate geometry places shapes on a numbered grid. Every point on the grid has an x coordinate and a y coordinate. This means you can describe any shape with equations instead of drawings. A straight line on the grid is described by a linear equation. A curve is described by a quadratic or polynomial equation. This connection between algebra and geometry means that anything you can draw, you can also describe with an equation, and anything described by an equation can be drawn as a shape. Engineers use this to model roads, bridges, and flight paths. Software uses this to render every line and curve on your screen. The key point is that coordinate geometry unites the language of algebra with the visual language of shapes. This is the important part. Calculus is built on everything we have covered. It is the math of change. Specifically, it answers two questions. How fast is something changing at any given moment? And how much total change has happened over a period of time? The first question is answered by derivatives. A derivative tells you the rate of change at a specific point on a function. If a curve on a graph shows how the temperature of a piece of metal changes over time, the derivative at any point on that curve tells you exactly how fast the temperature is rising or falling at that exact moment. Engineers use derivatives to find the point where a structure bears maximum stress. Financial analysts use them to find the point where a function is at its peak, which might be the price that maximizes profit. The key point is that a derivative converts a function describing a total quantity into a function describing the rate of change of that quantity. The second question is answered by integrals. An integral works in reverse. It adds up an infinite number of infinitely thin slices to find a total. If you know the rate at which water flows into a tank at every moment, the integral tells you the total volume that entered the tank over any period of time. If you know the force applied to an object at every point along its travel, the integral tells you the total energy transferred. The key point is that an integral converts a function describing a rate into a total accumulated quantity. Common mistakes. The most common is treating memorized steps as understanding. You learn to multiply fractions without knowing why it works. You apply the quadratic formula without knowing what a quadratic relationship means in the real world. When you skip the understanding and go straight to the steps, you can follow examples but cannot adapt when the situation changes. The fix is to always ask what the result actually means before moving on. The second mistake is treating each branch of math as separate. In practice, most real problems require several branches at once. An engineering problem might need geometry to define the shape, algebra to set up relationships, trigonometry to handle angles, and calculus to find the optimal design. The branches are connected. The third mistake is skipping units. A calculation without units is almost meaningless. 10 meters per second is different from 10 meters per hour. Always attach units to your numbers and track them through the calculation. The unit of the answer tells you whether you solved the right problem. Where does this actually matter? If you are managing a construction project, geometry determines material quantities, algebra lets you work backwards from budget to quantity, and statistics helps you evaluate contractor bids and identify outliers. If you work in finance, algebra builds pricing models, exponential functions model compound growth. Statistics summarizes portfolio performance, and probability quantifies risk. If you are in technology, every algorithm you use was designed using these tools. Data compression, encryption, image rendering, and machine learning all reduce to applied math. The consequence in each case is the same. The person who understands the math can check the output, spot the error, and adapt. The person who only knows the steps is dependent on the tool working correctly and has no way to verify it. Here is what you can do now that you could not do before. You can look at any mathematical formula and identify which branch it belongs to and what kind of problem it is solving. You can recognize when a relationship is linear versus exponential and understand why it matters. You can read a statistical summary and assess whether it is telling you the full story or hiding something. You can look at a calculus expression and understand whether it is asking about a rate of change or a total accumulation. You now know that every piece of math was invented for a reason, that the reason is always a real problem, and that once you know the problem, the math that solves it stops being abstract and starts being useful. You were not bad at math. You were taught formulas before you were shown what they were for. Now, you have been shown what they are for. That is what you should have been given the first time.